So everything we've talked about so far has pretty much been the neutral game. The out in the middle of the field, doing the dance, reading your opponent, the back and forth. These are your neutral tools. They're mostly poking, some defensive, some offensive, etc. But by and large, that is just your transition game as we talked about. Things you attack with, things you defend yourself with, and things you use in between. Let's really talk about what you do on offense, what your mix-ups are, how your pressure is supposed to work, and how you flex that around what your opponent does. Let's get into the details of that. First off, I want to mention the heat and chip damage system as part of that. Jun has a ton of moves that do cost her health, even on block or on hit. Boom. Look at that shot. That did as much damage to me as it did to him. But it's a big high launcher and I get rewards for it, right? So you could play the entire game without doing that stuff. You do have combos that will not take your health. I don't even know what they are, but there are combos. Let me find one real quick. Do this. There's one. 65. That didn't cost any of my health. But the real combo uses a chunk of my health. So you do need to be aware of that. And again, I wish I could teach you more, but it's kind of hard to really figure it out. Needless to say, Jun wagering her own health for safety of some moves, as well as more damage versus the opponent, is a big part of what she does. So mastery of that system is important. If you want to play it conservatively and not use those moves until you get into heat mode, wherein those moves are now risk-free, on block, chip damage, on hit, grip of damage, none to me. Jun's invincible. Great stuff. You can save it all for that, but heat mode doesn't last forever. You get 10 seconds of activity using your heat mode, right? And then you have your heat smash to regenerate health when you're done. You can play conservative and not deal with that, or you can just let it rip and then, hope you make the best out of it. Hope your opponent never has an opportunity to cash in on the extra damage. It's a balancing act, and it's something that's going to be more important as the game develops. Does this make Jun a monster because she can wager health, or does that make her weak because she spends health, right? We'll get to that point. So it's hard to really study that now, but it is a factor. The chip damage in the game is supposed to be important. A lot of characters have lots of things, and everybody that's in heat causes chip damage. So in Jun's case, that can also be better because she can regenerate that where other characters can't. So think about it in that way. But don't think too hard until you really get a better sense of how to use that system. It might not even matter. You're going to play so many matches, not even think about your health. When you get to that point and you learn how to properly leverage your health, probably get a lot more dangerous. So that's what the heat system adds to it, as well as the access to other moves and this one free offensive opportunity. Like, this is free. They can't do anything right there. Hard mix up for you. You only get that once, though. You can do it again once you're in heat mode, right? If they do this, you can block and dash for pressure, but that's it. So you get that once around. It's not that big a deal, but it is there. It's a good offensive tool. You just got to learn how to use it. The key is the heat mode, especially in Jun's case. So as far as the stuff you want to do on offense, what is the best way to get your opponent to make mistakes? That is to be unpredictable, force them into making a calculated guess that's wrong. And there's nothing that compounds that even further than you maintaining advantage via frame traps. Every time you do a standing jab, it's +1. Every time you do this, it's +3. Every time you sidestep and do that, it's +6. If it doesn't hit them. They can't move. If they're smart, they can't move. They might challenge you once in a while, but that's probably not a good sign. You can exploit that. It's information about them. So these frame trapping moves are really important. Forward 4 is good because it's plus. Down 2 is not plus, but it feels plus. When they block that, it feels like you're still trapping them and they can't do anything. Forward 1 +2, that is plus $1 billion on block. I gotta hit him with it. There's one. +6, that's a lot. And chip damage. So just doing this, really good move, right? They're stuck. There's nothing they can do. And you can do it from downtown. Boom, +6, what are you gonna do? As well as this. You do note that this isn't a natural combo. So if you are already downtown, you have this homing move followed up by that. They can't sidestep around you, and you land on top of them, cause some chip damage, and you're +3. That's an amazing set of things to have. This move is so cool. They might be able to jab you out of there or something. I don't know yet, but I don't think so. We'll find out. I don't have the patience to sit there with every move and figure, let somebody else figure, oh yeah, that move sucks. Okay, and if that sucks, then we'll take it out of the list. But right now, it seems like it's pretty good. Long range homing into frame trap. So look at all of those, +3s, +6s. Those are really good moves. They're fast enough. Look, that's only 19 on startup. You can just throw that out there. You're in your approach game, frame trap. Oh, you sidestepped them, frame trap, you know? Great stuff. Once you have them in that, they cannot think correctly. They have no idea what you're going to do. Do it again, right? Do another one. Repeat the cycle. They're never going to get used to it. They're going to constantly be thinking about something else. Then you go do this again, then you go for your low. Right? That's really what you want to do, is to keep them from acting correctly and then pressure them harder on top of it with your frame advantage. So a key situation like this is the 1-2 and the sidestep. If you sidestep correctly, you can whiff punish with this. Boom. If they didn't, or if they're just kind of standing there, just do this. Assert your dominance. Get your +6 and do it again. As soon as they catch that time, and do the 3 this time. Do the 3 and then sidestep. Boom, whiff punish. Right? That little system is how you do everything. I'm going to do this, and hopefully you're going to make a mistake. I'm going to do this in the Genjutsu, and I'm hoping you challenge it so I can go for a power crush. You know what I mean? I'm going to go into Genjutsu again and hope you just stand there. Right? And I'm going to go low. I'm going to go into a Zumo, and I'm going to go, right? There's all that stuff. It's using those that really matters the most, and being fresh about it, never doing the same thing twice. So you've got a ton of things that you could use all the time. We talked about them in the stances section, but let's kind of run over them here. Izumo is really good because of the ways you get into it. That's just boom. They're never going to see that coming. That's really fast. They're never going to duck that. So once you have that, boom, you're +11 or +6 or whatever it is on block into a stance. And in that stance, again, you have a mix-up, you have a move that's safe, and you have a move that beats jab. So whenever you start doing these things, take note of what your opponent does. If you have an opponent that tries to hop kick every gap, use your power crush. Every time they hop kick, do that. If you have an opponent that tries to duck jab or something, do your fastest move that beats it out. Whatever the counter might be in particular. She used to have Dragon Wheel kick, I think, out of Izumo. I think you used to be able to do that into that. Different now. But if you think they're going to go low, you just do this. Jump kick, right? If their duck jab is the answer, jump kick them. Everything has that, so you got to know what they are. 2 is your mid launcher for Mizumo versus 4-1 the Hell Sweep. That's your primary mix-up. But you have the Power Crush, another homing move, and you have a mid that beats lows. You have a jump kick that heat engages. So you have one of everything out of Izumo stance. You just have to worry about the opponent that guesses correct. If they guess right every time, it's going to be a bad day, you know? There's nothing you can do about it. So you keep it mixed up, and they're never going to guess right all the time. And if you're worried about their guesses, then just play it cool. Just do basic stuff. Just do, 1-1. Keep it simple. Keep it safe. Do that until they react differently. And if they keep doing right, if they keep playing compact, and you can't, just stop doing the stance. Just forget about putting yourself at risk with that stance. You could just stop and just do this and do nothing, right? There you go. Now they're like, oh man, they have no read on what you're going to do. You went for an Izumo with +6 and you did nothing, right? Like that doesn't compute. So that kind of stuff is how it really works. Izumo got a hard mix-up and a power crush to stop jabbers, a jump kick to stop down 4s, etc. Genjutsu is a little simpler, same thing. You've got a low, you've got a mid power crush that covers 2 of those jobs and does a grip of damage. And you have a frame trap. You have a high frame trap. One of everything, right? Beats lows. So that's all kind of covered. If they go for lows a lot, that wins. If they go for like just basic mid pokes and jabs and stuff, that wins. If they go for standing jabs every time you do something, that wins. So remember your opponent's behavior, mix it up. There you go. Genjutsu is pretty good for that because it's very straightforward. Not to mention the transition itself. If they're a duck jabber, right? If they try to duck jab everything you do this, that gets parried. That duck jab gets automatically parried. Eat shit. There you go. Really good stuff all around. As long as you keep it fresh and don't get predictable, they will never get your game plan down. Miare is not as straightforward in terms of your offensive game plan. It's more of a back off stance, but it doesn't leave you, like if that gets blocked, that's kind of close to just stand there. You can't just do that. It's harder to defend yourself because you can't really duck right away. You can sidestep quickly, But otherwise, like, Miare feels like it's an out here stance, like a come and get me and eat laser cannon. Or, oh, come at me, I'm going to go on. That's kind of it. It's a little more situational. This isn't much of an offensive pressure system. I think it's a little more defensive by its nature because of that stupid range more than anything else. It's defensive in the fact that it also heals you, too, so there's that. But it can be used as part of your game. You can do things like, oh, back off. You know, oh, this gets blocked. I'll go into Miare, and then I'll go right into that. You know, I'll go into Izumo again. Oh, you thought I wanted Miare? It's me, Izumo. There's Izumo mix-up again, right in your face. Right back to the top. They have no idea what you were about to do. You went right from Miare into another one, different stance. They're never going to figure that out. So as far as other offensive tricks that you have, it really is just putting the whole puzzle together out of this tool set. There are moves that are just great to use all the time, all purpose, like down forward 3. It's not a very good offensive tool, right? It loses your turn, but it keeps you safe. Your offensive tools are the things that, you know, either get you into a good mix-up, or you use to whiff punish and get damage, or you use to get counter hits. Finding the right opportunity, like we mentioned, this has a hidden counter hit in it, right? But how are they going to get, right? Like, when are they going to get counter hit by this? There's the mid. They'll just punish that mid and sit there and eat that. But you keep doing this. And then you go back about your business, and 5 minutes later you do this, right? You're only using this move, just one by itself. You keep going for that. Eventually, like, okay, every time he does this, he just attacks again, right? I'm going to blow him up. Well, I'm going to do that, and there's your counter hit. That's really what your offensive tools are about. So things that can force that situation. You get your opponents ready to make the right decision. You know, you keep being too aggressive, so you know your opponent wants to shut that down. Set him up for a counter hit. I think we mentioned the Genjutsu stance out of forward 2. Forward 2 now has a counter hit. Boom! Look at that. For them trying to interrupt your Gen stance and trying to, like, you know, outsmart you and punish your over-aggression, you can just let it rip with that and punish them in return. That's how you run offense with this character, is you create a situation that is a mix-up, which can backfire on you, but when you have an opponent who's trying to counter those mix-ups, use that to your advantage. Do something differently and counter hit them with something else. And if they don't try to counter your mix-ups, they just stand there, then run harder mix-ups, right? Go for lows more aggressively if they're not going to do anything about it. If they're going to do anything about it, switch to that third hit, complete the string, right? Instead of going for this transition, bop them with that, whatever it might be. That's how you use offense. Fool your opponent, whether it's making the wrong decision against the mix-up, whether it's trying to counter poke at the wrong time, or just not doing anything when she's, you know, just running a gauntlet on you. That's right. That's the name of the game, is that transition, that mental transition in your decision making. You got to force that situation. So the most dangerous thing about all of that is counter hits. When you have them trying to defend themselves and they do it at the wrong place, that's where you really make most of your money from. There are offensive and defensive counter hits. Ones that I'm going to go for offensive, like this would be an offensive counter hit, right? I'm doing mix-ups, I'm doing poke, I'm doing the dance. I'm hoping to catch you jabbing me at the wrong time with that. And otherwise, it's cool. Down 2 is a good offensive counter hit, right? I'm doing this, boom, down 2. I'm kind of keeping my distance out here, doing the dance. There's mine, I'm +2 here, right? They're not going to do anything good there. I'm going to go for that. If they decided to challenge me, they're going to counter hit. That's what it's supposed to be. So down 2 is a really good offensive counter hit. It's safe. Forces their crouch, which again, kind of puts them in that mental prison. They don't want to act from here. Even though it's technically their turn, it doesn't feel right. It's keeping them off, keeping them uneasy. So down 2 is a good offensive counter hit. Full crouch down forward 2 is another excellent counter hit. This is one where you do, you know, this, you stay crouched. You do this and you stay crouched. Right there. One single leg cutter, that's a mix-up opportunity. They're expecting a second leg cutter, or they're expecting this, right? 'Cause that's kind of the only option. You just stop and go into crouch, then go low again. That's a really good way to use that. And if they anticipate, oh, I know he's just waiting for a setup to go for that ankle grab, I'm gonna wait for it all day. Well, then go mid. Do that instead. Full crouch down forward 2 is a really good one. The rewards are excellent. On block, it's not a big deal. Who cares about -11? -11 is so good for that. You go for it. That's the name of the game, is go for that stuff. And again, if they're onto it, go for mids. You got plenty of good mids to counteract all of that. Forward 2 is another excellent offensive counter hit tool. All of these things, even if they give the wrong counter hit, that on counter hit works too, right? Get some distance again. Look at that. You get a free follow-up where you pressure them again. So counter hits in the stance are really good. And if they try to interrupt the stance itself, this counter hit is excellent. Those are really, really good offensive counter hit tools. You attack with down 2, you attack with the ankle grab, and you attack with forward 2 stuff. You can do that. Remember this? This was good. It's a high, but they're not going to duck that. Why would they duck there? Never. Because that exists, and now the stance exists. Good night, nurse. They start ducking and they get hit by Genjutsu 2, they're going to stop the ducking. So that means you get away with this for free if you want to do something safe. You want to go for the mix-up, all that's yours. Forward 2, really good offensive tool now. Defensive counter hits. There's not very few in the game that are better than down 3+4. I'll tell you that. Down 3+4 is 14 low, beats other lows. One of the best panic moves in the game. Really good stuff all around. Up forward 2 is pretty cool, little self-defense. It's relatively quick, but it's kind of short. Up forward 3 is only 1 frame slower, but it beats lows and gets the same combo basically. Now you're going to get a huge combo out of that. Up forward 3 has got superior range and it beats lows. So up forward 2, not as good. And up forward 2 costs you health, so not as good, but it's there. Up forward 3 is just superior. And your last like desperate counter hit keep out is down forward 4. I used to like this move a lot. It's minus 14. I mean, yeah, you do get a whole combo from it, but is it really worth minus 14 just for that? The range is okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's a tough one. I really like the move, just the attitude with it, but it's not that good of a move. This is better. This is straight up just better because it's totally safe. I don't know, it's tough, but that's there. I just like the feel. When you get this one right, it's worth it. I like that move. That's all. It's the only reason it's in here. So those are how you use counter hits correctly. You use them on offense, create a situation where they're going to act poorly, and then go for something that causes a counter hit bonus. There are tons of little mini counter hits like this that we'll cover in the combo guide. So there are tons of little mini strings that have rewards baked into them for getting the right counter hit. It's up to you to put those in the right situation. In defensive counter hits, you can play the mid game. The mix-up isn't working. I'm just going to bide my time. Get away from me. Bide my time. Get away from me. You catch that counter hit, there's 80 damage. Go back to business. Catch this counter hit, there's 80 damage. Go back to your business. And the final things to look out are when you are out here, what do you do? Basically, your choices are to stay out here or to go in. So if you want to stay out here, forward 2 is your best friend. Anytime they come out into your half of the screen, you pop with forward 2 and then you're done. If they keep coming at you, guess who's there? Up forward 3. They're not going to be able to get in on this move. They're going to hate it. Every time they come in, you get slapped by this. Forward 3. We talked about how good that is for getting in. It's still really good out here. You get that +3 and you can still easily run away from it, right? Or not do the second hit. Just forward 3. Keep away from me. I'm out here. Keep away. Really good move to just cover that distance. Forward 2 can also be used at this range defensively. Just like that. Just keep away from me from way out here. Because when this gets blocked even, that leaves you out here. So you stay in your mid region. You use this one to stay keep out. And you use the stance to go in. Right? Genjutsu is right in their face. You use this, stay far away. If you do want to get back in, again, you go forward 2 and stance mix up. You can do forward both punches, as we talked about. This is +6. Covers all kind of ground on block, +6, and then you're in, just like that. And if it hits them, free damage, start over again. So that's a really good get back in there tool with nice frame advantage. Forward 1+2. It's a little bit slow on the startup because, so as a result, you kind of have to bide your time. You don't really do that up here. I'm at mid-range, and I want to pressure in. That's how you do it. While standing 1+2 is also really good for that. This has excellent range and it's safe on block. And if you get your counter hit, again, if they come in at the right time. I think about the character Ivy in Soul Calibur a lot. Here's his long range whip and it goes under the ground and through the sky and shit like that. It's everywhere. 5 miles away and she's still hitting you with that whip. That's not what she wants. She wants you to get in on her. She wants you to get tired of that whip crap and run in at her where she hits you with the good stuff. So I think about that kind of zoning archetype where it's a bait. They want you to attack. That's the way I feel like a lot of these moves are for Jun, is like she's out here and she's cool with that. She's keeping this to stay safe. She's doing this and she's retreating, right? She's doing this and retreating. They're going to get frustrated by that. They can't get near this character. Every time they get near, they get parried, right? They get can-canned. So they're going to get frustrated about being out here, getting hit with long-range whip attacks, right? They want to get in, so that's when you are in control. When they're getting frustrated and they just come running at you like the big fat guy in all the kung fu movies who just, and he goes right through the wall because the hero just makes a miss, just whoop, through the wall. That's what Jun can do. So when you're out here, you can just do whatever you want, right? You're going to get that counter hit. You have tons of counter hits, all kinds of good stuff like that. Counter hits are your friend, but as well as just, stop. Get away from me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to homing move. Or if they missed entirely, you get this. So owning that space is important, but you do eventually have to get back in if you want to win. So it's, again, that transition game. Your set of keep out tools is really good. Your set of get back in tools is really good. Your offensive counter hits are good. Your defensive counter hits are good. You got to learn how to use those in each phase of the game based on your opponent's behavior and the flow of the match so far.